awfully good looking
Awfully
one
good.
too. Yes. Okay, let's see here.
So we're rolling there.
We are.
We're live on Facebook.
Hi guys. Not gonna make that very professional.
We're good.
Alrighty. Record.
So it's just getting everything set up.
Yes.
We're rolling.
And I usually do this and no one can see me on the other end. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just quiet.
Cool. Just got to step your game up. It's not a problem.
I know.
All right.
Alrighty. Welcome to episode 31 of Behind the Backline. My name is Matt Jacoby of Octave Media, and today is the first time we are using Facebook Live. And ironically, this is actually, when it airs, will be my 1-year anniversary of this podcast.
Well, that's cool. I thought you were going to say it's like the last time, too. We'll see how it goes.
This is my last guest ever.
You shouldn't have brought me on. I kill podcast shows.
And today I am talking with Jason Chance of Chance Productions right here in my backyard, Madison, Wisconsin. Thanks for joining me today, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, this will be fun. This is our first video version, and I hope we don't botch it. So that's what we're going for here.
We're going to botch it. It's okay. Makes us real people, right?
Exactly. That's why everyone tunes in the first place. So let's get started by having you tell us a little about who you are.
Yeah, cool. So I guess that could be really long and painful, so we'll just kind of get to how it relates to Chance Productions. So Jason Chance, the owner of Chance Productions. We've been in business since 2004-ish, kind of late 2004, and got started in the event industry back in '99, and we've been going at it ever since. So brought the company here a little over a year ago, actually January 2018, and entered the new marketplace here, and really just been going at it every day and doing our best to bring something new to the Madison area, and we've been excited about it.
Cool. Yeah, I was always kind of a little bit confused, I think, because I think I've been told that you just started to back up like a year or two ago, but your website says over 2 decades. So
yeah, I mean, I haven't stopped. We just really weren't pushing it. The way it got started was I was actually a teacher, came out of college and started that actually in late 2004, and so it was more of a part-time gig.
Mm-hmm.
But part-time quickly became like full-time outside of a full-time job, and we were doing over 100 events a year, and decided to start bringing all sorts of different pieces to the puzzle when it came to executing a full event. So we started on, I was hosting events, and we'd have DJs, and we brought on photographers and videographers and photo booths and light techs, and in came the LED world with movers and all the fancy fun stuff that we like to get our hands on and transform spaces with, and the sexy stuff is what we like to call it.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, you're sexy.
Well, if I look, do I shine like a light?
Yes. Anyway, so yeah, we have a ton of fun in the industry. I'm pretty entrepreneurial, so I've had my hands on a couple other things over the last, I'd say like 3 years or so, and I guess 4 years. So this last year, we're about 3 years off. This last year, my wife and I, after we got married, we had to sit down and decide, okay, let's do some vision planning. Where are we going? What do we want to do? And really the conversation came down to, she told me, Jason, you need to follow your passion. She didn't put it so nicely. She actually said to me, Jason, I didn't marry a stupid man, and right now you're being stupid.
Is that the black guy?
No, this is a different one. The other one's gone away by now. But no, that's really what it came down to. And she really, not that I needed permission, but it was great for her to verbally tell me, go 100 miles per hour at what you actually love to do.
Awesome. It's good to have a supportive spouse.
Yeah.
Hear that, honey? Thank you.
No, it's seriously amazing. And without her, like I could do this, but having that financial backing with the dual income and not having some of the worries I had when I was doing it on my own is really great to have. So.
And all that stuff will certainly kill a regular full-time job. At least otherwise it started to switch. You're like, well, there's no room for my actual 9 to 5. Why bother?
Right.
Especially when that's not a passion. It's easier to make that call.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alyssa, that's my wife, and I like to joke that the reason I'm an entrepreneur is actually because I make a horrible employee. So
Exactly. You know what? And as I told you earlier, I can attest to that because I felt like every job I had before what I'm doing now, I was just awful at it. I was clashed with the owner or manager, and like, I'm not an employee.
yeah, I'm really bad at taking direction. I thought what you were about to say is I can relate to that because I wouldn't want to work with you either, but I'm glad that was your answer instead.
That was my plan B. I'm like, I better be nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So what's your background in all of this? I mean, why was it a passion? But I mean, if you want to do a full-time job, where did all of this stuff come from to begin with?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, accidentally is
always
really
good.
like the whole answer, but let me give you a little more detail on it. So, back in '99, one of my best friends, Jason Leitner, he called me and told me he was a DJ, and I told him he's not. Like, come on, man, you don't even listen to music.
I thought you were going to say you're jealous.
I wasn't, but it intrigued me. I think I was like pushing 2% milk in a dairy department and doing some other things that I, of course, didn't love doing, but you know, you need money. And yeah, what's that thing? Money to buy stuff, I guess. Trade, barter.
Things.
Yeah, things. So, yeah, I mean, and I said, okay, well, prove it to me. And so they had an event, and he said, why don't you come over to the office after the event? We're tearing everything down. We'll put it back there. And I came there. It was actually true. And he had worked with a guy named Ryan Nelson, actually Sound Productions. They're still going at it. They do great work in Rockford, Illinois. And I made it my mission to have him hire me, if for no other reason that I didn't want to be a dairyman. So, like,
You don't like cows?
I mean, cows might be cooler than what I did. Like, here's your Dan and yogurt, dude. But yeah, so that's really how I got in, and quickly. There were two events they would do roughly in an evening. Ryan, the owner, put me in charge of one of the events, gave me a microphone, had me executing timelines and working with the DJs that we had, and sometimes I would do that DJ portion. And part of that was lighting. And the stuff that I gravitated toward was the new and different things that we could do to transform a space, whether that was with the energy inside a room, through announcing, through the organization that we had to have, or whether that was the music and when we played it, and the beats per minute, and the volume, and the familiarity, and all the different things that came in. But that's really the start, and that's how everything got going. And from there, it became a really great way to supplement income in college and still have time to study. I don't know how much studying I really did. I got through. C's get degrees. I don't know.
They let you out.
they let me out. That sounds awesome.
That was my goal for them to let me out.
Yeah, I spent entirely too long in college. I had a great time there. My dad calls me his doctor. Just, you know, how long I was actually in the college years. But no, it was good. It was a great experience. Learned a lot. And then when I got out, it was a great supplement starting that business to being a teacher. Summers off, weekends off, holidays off, etc.
Yeah.
And when you start teaching, you don't make a whole lot of money. I think my first salary was $28,800. And not that that's horrible.
Yeah.
It just wasn't enough for me because I was trying to buy a house at the time. I did buy, and I was pretty strapped for cash. So I'm like, okay, well, it's time. Let's make this happen. And got it started with the help of my grandma and my dad. Gave me a small loan. I think it was really small, like $2,000, which to me felt like $100,000.
Amazing. Venture capitalist.
Yeah. Didn't even want 1%. I'm like, cool, no equity, all right.
Why don't you want ownership of this? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, they want nothing to do with that side of it. But it's really cool because I tried to pay them back and they actually wouldn't take my cash. They were just like, awesome, you're doing what you love. We can tell you love it. And the reaction of other people and how they react with you when you're doing this is really cool to see. And they were excited to do something for me that really helped me in that way. So.
And that's the best part. I can attest that, you know, I've made a decent salary in the past, and if it's not fun, it's not worth it.
Well, right.
The passion is definitely primo.
It is. It is. You know, Logan Logan works with me. We joke we work tons of hours, especially in the busy season, but it doesn't feel like work because we're doing the stuff that we like to do, and we'd probably be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
We're just fortunate enough to get paid to do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if your hobby is what you're getting paid for, then You never work
Right.
a day in your life, right?
Well, Logan always gets paid. I don't always get paid, so.
He just happens to be here and making faces behind the camera.
Turns out you got to pay your guys, but you know, not necessarily yourself. Sometimes that's the nature of a startup, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I hear you. So some are more successful at that than others.
Yeah, absolutely. For
So
sure.
right now, you said you started it in the Rockford, Illinois area, right?
I did.
And you moved it up here. So what primarily is the area that you serve right now? Is it primarily just Madison, or are you all over the state or region? Or?
So we're open to traveling.
Okay.
We actually just booked an event in Moline, and you know, I guess if we look at kind of the wheel, so to speak, with the spokes, if Madison is that central hub for us, you know, the Dells, Milwaukee, Lake Geneva, Madison, that's a big part of what we do. Because we are out of Rockford and did a lot of work in Chicagoland as well. I did live in Chicago for a little bit, ran a company there for a couple of years. Not that fun to do the work downtown, but as long as you're not in the Loop or Lower Wacker Drive, everything's pretty cool. But you know, we actually just bid on an event, Chicago suburbs, this last week. So it's not outside of our realm, but I would say Madison is definitely where we want to be. And really, if you just draw that circle around with those places I just named, that's our bread and butter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you get out towards the Mississippi Valley too, that kind of area? Because you said Lake Geneva is more this area, so seems like it's more this side of Madison. But are you?
Well, it's been we've had requests in other areas, but it's been our intention to purposely create relationships in areas where we could do multiple events.
Okay.
And really part of that is the strategy around production. So, you know, if you have just one job every, 50 miles this way and 80 miles this way, or whatever else, it's a production nightmare.
Yeah.
But if you can send a crew to, Lake Geneva, knock out 3 events, and Milwaukee do 3, and maybe, a few in Madison and a couple in Lake Geneva over a weekend, that starts to make sense on how that can work.
Sound a little bit like Amazon. You have a lot of logistics involved and drop shipping your employees and stuff.
Yeah, we actually drop ship employees. We if there's one
Drones?
box you can get, and if they fit in that one box, it's one flat rate. No.
I don't know, Logan. Do you enjoy flying by Amazon drone? Or,
No, but that is something that's really worked. The other thing that has been very helpful, and one of the sticking points in this industry is how do you make money more than one day a week? Luckily, not all events are on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Corporate events happen during the week and evenings. But the other side of the table is when can you set up, when can you tear down? So we are constantly in our sales process when we work with our clients and figuring out how we can best help them. We are figuring out when we can get in. Some of our event spaces we work with the most, we can get in anytime during the week and tear down anytime the next week. Well, that frees us up on that Saturday. We still have someone drop in just to make sure everything's good to go, check in with the key people, but that really allows us to do production elsewhere and get set up in those mornings and late nights and that type of thing. So there's really a lot that goes into the logistics of making it successful.
you sound like more the logistics manager versus getting to actually do any of the fun stuff anymore.
I wear all the hats.
You're the entrepreneur.
And it doesn't matter if I think it's fun right now, it just has to happen. And
Son of a.
yeah, so the goal is obviously as we go on over time to do a little bit more on the business, not as much in the business, but as you know, in the startup game, which even though we've been at this quite some time, we took a little bit of a break. We started a new city. I view this as a 1-year startup. We're just over 1 year in, and we've been hustling.
And it's a startup in the music industry. There's a double whammy.
Right. Yeah.
So, one of the worst places you could start.
or
But no,
best.
Or well, most fun, but maybe
Yeah.
the most difficult.
It is tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. One of the things we did is we knew the key to our success in the past was creating relationships. And who are those key people you want to create relationships with? Well, it's kind of the 80-20 principle. 20% of the people that you work with produce about 80% of your results.
Yep.
And you tend to just be a lot happier doing those things. And for us, because our goal is to transform spaces, the bigger an event is, the more opportunity we have to actually make that a reality. And we tend to end up working with those events with other people who have been doing it quite some time. And so the end result is just that much better. There's so many people that come together for an event to make it a success. And when you're working with the key planners, that are really good and they're at the top of their game, that allows you to be at the top of yours.
Yeah.
So that's really what we're looking for.
That helps when you're not the only one pulling everyone else along. Everyone knows what they're doing. And, yeah.
Right.
So what's your favorite type of production or style of, I mean, what do you really throw all of your creativity into?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's definitely when a planner comes to, it's almost always a planner. Occasionally it's a bride, but it's almost always a planner that comes to us and says, hey, we need this thing to be done, and no one else is actually willing to do this, but we heard you might, so it's a new area, people don't know us that well yet. We heard you might say yes. So that's kind of like how we got our in here. We heard Chance might say yes. So like one of the good example, hey, will you build a teepee? Sure. Have you ever built one before? No. So we had to figure out, okay, how do you make a teepee? This is teepee structure and lighting on it and hanging from it and all around it and that type of thing. But where do you source these things? How do you assemble this? Is this realistic? How tall does it need to be? We end up with 25-foot tall teepee poles. And,
the teepee shop, isn't it? I mean, come on.
well, kind of, yeah, it was. But there's been a lot of things that way, structures for floral ceilings, which that's something we might have been a little bit more involved in. You know, structures, trussing, that's not foreign to us.
Yeah.
teepee poles, that was new.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of things that are brought to us, and we have to figure out, one, is this something that we think we can execute well? And two, is it something that really fits our vision and our niche and what we really want to focus on? Because often these things take a lot more time.
Mm-hmm.
There's the research side of it, the prep side of it, the setup, and then also the tear down that goes into it. And it takes a lot to make some of these things happen.
Yeah, I can imagine that's, I mean, yeah, well, probably half your job is just research. The idea is the easiest part.
Yes.
And then,
you know, I have a business coach, and he constantly talks to me about where I'm spending my time,
mm-hmm.
and he wants me to spend less on research until I actually nail down, you know, is this something we're going forward with? But you know, I always push back. Well, how do we know if we're going forward with it if we haven't done all the research?
Yeah.
So there's a fine line in there, because it can consume, like, you know, an entire week really, because there's so many key elements that come from some of the stuff that we get involved in.
Mm-hmm. So who are the people you thrive the best with? I mean, like you said, you work with planners the most, but when it comes to different types of events that you work with, which events are easier than others?
Well, so we get a lot of custom stuff, and then after you've done it once,
mm-hmm.
we like to make it a SKU on the shelf, so to speak.
Got it.
So once we've done that, now that becomes easier. The second time, third time, right? And then once our crew, our guys, we come out and we've done this thing, I don't necessarily have to be involved in that next part, putting it in place, because they know what's going on, and I'm able to focus my time on that next customized solution or
Gotcha.
design or whatever that may be.
I have to ask, is that how the, I won't say it's an obsession, but it seems like you enjoy your chandeliers quite a bit. Is that where they came from?
Yeah, I love the shandies.
I was like, there's a lot of slang for chandelier on this Instagram post.
Yeah, we love chandeliers, and actually, I've always been drawn to just like the crystal and some of that. And when you, I guess I spend a lot of time on Instagram for the images,
mm-hmm.
so I'm really particular with what comes through my feed, and I'm just constantly saving images. And when you look at a complete picture of what an event space is like, those are some of the pieces that are statement pieces that I think are really cool. So some of our AV partners in the Rockford area and Chicago area have some of these chandeliers as well, and that's how we actually got to work with chandeliers first. My cousin's company, actually, out of Rockford, he introduced us to some of this, and that's really how we got maybe the confidence, I would say,
okay.
to take on a chandelier and order it, because you have to assemble these things and wire them, and there's thousands when you get through all the chandeliers of crystals that individually have to get put on. And,
oh, you had to build it.
Build it.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, they're all beautiful, and I'm glad that you built the crates for them to go in, so you didn't have to assemble them every week.
Full disclosure, my dad.
Here's where he came back with the venture
retired carpenter. and slightly restless. And my mom's pretty creative as well, so they like helping with some of these projects.
Got it.
They actually, when I brought some of them to our warehouse here in Madison to work on, I had to explain to my mom why she wasn't involved on that next build, because she thought that would, is something that I should definitely have her do with me.
She was just a given. I mean, why is she not involved? I mean, come on.
She's like, Jason, I do the crystals. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But yeah, no, that's really what got us in, and we have a variety of other lighting that we consistently get asked to do, and it's usually the planners, once again, that have a vision, and really our process is understanding the vision, understanding the budget, and then figuring out how we can add as much value as possible.
Awesome. Now, it probably wouldn't make sense to ask this question now because it probably shines through in all of the responses you've given, but what's it like to be working with, I mean, you get to live just like the kid's dream of having a job that's all imagination and creative focused, and there's no corporate job that's that fun. So
that's true, except I currently have to do all the stuff that I don't think is that fun.
And there's the research that isn't the imagination part.
That and the books and payroll, and luckily my wife Alyssa takes a lot of that off my plate, and we have some people that do help with bookkeeping and do help, with some of that other stuff. But as we grow, we look to hire another key person this year in that category, as well as we have quite a few people to hire on the production side this year as well. Cool. So yes, at a certain point, when the majority of what I do is get to work on the vision of the event, but also the vision of the company, and really the culture and the community we're creating inside the walls of Chance Productions, as well as the people that we affect on a daily basis. That's the exciting stuff. Whether or not our P&L is on track, I need to know that, of course. But I am inclined sometimes to maybe want to buy that fancy, whatever it is in AV.
Fourth chandelier. No.
Yeah, moving head beams and spotlights and, ellipsoidals and light up dance floor. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever it is that comes at us. But or that next cool chair. But
exactly.
Yeah. So
how many employees are you up to right now?
So we have one full-time salaried employee, which is awesome. And outside of that, we really rely on our independent contractors and our AV partners.
Okay.
We, seasonally, we pick up people that are part-time, and they come help on production and that type of thing, but they're not our leads, and they are not doing typically our skilled work.
Okay.
So with every event that we have, it's a little bit different. Everybody needs somebody with a little bit different skill set, whether it's more of a corporate event where there's trussing and rigging and moving headlights and DMX operating systems and that sort of thing. That's obviously not the person you're going to pull from UW-Madison on their summers off. It could be, but it's probably not. So those people come in and they work with us side by side, and they do more of our decor style lighting, which may be something as simple as, not that it's simple, but for what we do is simple, like setting up the custom structures for cafe lighting and that type of thing over the top of a space for maybe outdoor cocktails and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw on Instagram your I feel like you were setting up the convention center in the Dells for kind of like a demo purpose, or was that actually an event?
That was for demo.
Okay.
And so actually our strategy coming in was first identify who we want to work with. Second, of course, meet those people.
Mm-hmm.
So we walked through over 60 event spaces in the first 2 months.
Wow.
And through that, we then simply invited people to allow us to come in and do lighting in their space and show them what we can do. And that helped us to create some great relationships. They were able to use photos for their marketing purposes. We were able to use photos for our marketing purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were able to show their clients some of the work inside their actual space. And then over time, working with those vendors or venues or planners, we've been able to create specific menus for venues we work most often. And so now it makes that sales process so much easier, where the person that runs the space is able to make it much easier for whoever their client is to see what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can come in and execute and get a few more ideas of, depending on what their goal is for their function, to make things work the way they want it to work.
That sounds like a win-win for everybody.
It is.
That's great.
It absolutely is.
I never really thought about that, but you've done all the research, you've done all the logistics, you got that down.
in month 1 and 2 coming here last year, we were some of those sleepless nights.
It was the opposite.
Yeah. My wife said I didn't marry a dumb guy, and I thought, was this the smartest thing to do? But
She put a really big, set the bar high for me to keep thinking now.
Yeah, it's all been worth it.
Good.
We're on the right side of things, profitable in year 1.
Awesome.
And that's really, it's a blessing,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So I think this was the one question you were slightly worried about.
Uh-oh, what do you got for me?
Out of everything you've done, what was your crowning achievement to date?
Well, I got married.
Ooh, good answer for Alyssa.
I just thought of that. I'm like, I think my wife's watching. I got married.
Hi, wife.
Yeah. Hey, listen. And we actually have a little one on the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Super exciting. June 3rd. That's right after Memorial Day weekend, so I'm hoping the baby doesn't come early because that's probably production happening right then. And,
you're going to be lighting up the delivery room.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We've had some really amazing events. There was an event this last year we did. It was a really just awesome high-end luxury style wedding, and we call it the Kanye wedding because Kanye's wedding had a lot of the, I guess, vision images that we looked at when we were putting the design in. We actually came in late in the game. There's a planner named Jamie Galanos, and they're working in conjunction with Daffodil Parker here, who they're all amazing, and Event Essentials too. And we were brought in initially to build some structures for the floral ceiling and the entranceway, which is, 28 feet long, 10 feet wide, all baby's breath, and then floral wall behind the head table, and trussing over the dance floor, hanging a floral chandelier, and we had over 100 lights DMX'd with moving head spotlights out in the golf course, and it was really pretty wild. We had to work through the night to get everything done. And,
wow.
I think over the course of the entire weekend, I slept, and Logan slept like 4 hours, and the other guys we had with barely slept too, because it's just what it took to get it done. So that was pretty amazing from start to finish, all the planning meetings that took place, and it was the time crunch of it more than anything, and just knowing like we can't start till 10 p.m. and we have till 6 p.m. the next day to get everything in line. And you'd have to see photos of what actually happened. Daffodil Parker blew my mind. Local company, if you're looking for floral, there's really not a better option. They're insanely talented with everything that they do.
I feel like that earned a quote from Kanye for me, but I don't have anything to give you in terms of like kudos.
I don't know much about Kanye. I should, right?
He's a rapper.
He's a rapper.
Yeah. Wait a minute, this is a music podcast. Why do I not know more about that?
Yeah, I should know, I suppose. Yeah.
So every business that you work with has its pros and cons. What are some of the things that have come out of that you're passionate about? What types of things could you wish you could improve on, or maybe you weren't things you weren't doing at all? What are some of the requests people bring that like I don't want to do that anymore, or like I prefer to do more of this because this is.
Yeah, I'm going to put a spin on that.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I've been working on recently is actually my own personal ideal calendar.
Okay.
And often in business, people talk about managing people, and one of the things I've been thinking about and just reading, listening to podcasts too, and this topic comes up once in a while, but not usually in this direction, which is the toughest person to manage is often yourself. And if you think about it, if you had an employee and they said to you all the things you say to yourself, you'd fire that person in a heartbeat, right? And if you think about how much time that you might personally waste on Facebook or whatever else, if you had an employee that did that, you'd fire them too. And there's so many different things that managing yourself and what you say yes to and what you say no to and what you're involved in and the people that you surround yourself with, because the birds of a feather, everybody has their different way of saying it, the 5 people you surround yourself with, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's true, you will think the way the people do who you surround yourself with. So where are you spending your time? What are you saying no to? Are you doing the things that you actually have told yourself you value? And I really think that when I focus on myself and I make myself the best person I can be, my company is affected by that, and the people that we work with are affected by that. And I think one of the number one reasons people work with us is our passion. We care.
Mm-hmm.
And in our industry, I didn't know when we first got in this would be the deciding factor, but we just happen to care more than other people.
Yeah.
And we're willing to do the things other people aren't willing to do.
That happens more than you think.
And right. And you know, all the people that work with us, if you're going to work with Chance Productions, the number one thing you need to be is kind, and you need to care. And if you've never been in the industry before, that's okay. We'll teach you the other things you need to know, but you need to be a good person first, because our culture is the most important thing to us.
Kudos to your wife, because that was a smart man answer.
She's been working on it.
She's over there sending comments, like sending you notes on how to respond to these.
I'm just going to guess we have no comments and maybe 2 people watching, but
hey, that's okay. That's what the
we have 1 person watching.
That's what the replay's for.
Oh, well, hello to our 1
Hey
person.
there.
Thanks so much.
Just so you know, the audio versions usually get a lot more listens later. So.
Okay, sweet. You can edit.
But we still love these people that are watching.
Person.
Sorry.
Person. Thank you, person.
Awesome. Well, before we sign off, give you a chance to plug the website, your social, find out where people can learn more about you.
Yeah, cool. Just come over. No, I'm kidding.
We're downtown right now.
Yeah, 30 West Mifflin. It's chanceproductions.net. Also, I think we're at Chance Pro Events on Instagram, and Jason at chanceproductions.net if you want to send me, I don't know, hate email, love email, spam. Don't send me spam. I get enough of that stuff. You need health insurance. No, we don't.
I thought you were talking about the meat after working in the grocery store.
Yeah, all that type of stuff, right? No, really cool. We appreciate it. Check us out, please. And if you have any sort of event needs or even just questions, we have spent a lot of time in this industry, and if we don't do it, we probably know someone that can help you with whatever goal it is that you do have.
Well, thank you for joining me. This has been awesome. I'm glad to put a spotlight on the small guys, and hopefully you get bigger, of course.
Yeah, I got married and I've been getting bigger, so I'm actually working on getting smaller at this point. But my dad jokes are getting better as my body forms to meet those.
Hey kids, pull my finger. No.
Yeah.
That's maybe the grandpa jokes.
That's
the next generation.
We're supposed to know when to cut it, right? Is now the time?
Now's the time.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, the opportunity, and wish you the best of luck in everything you do as well.
Thank you.
Cool.